Hey there, it's Nick.
And it's Leah.
Real quick thing before we get going. Did you know that we have a new benefit on Patreon?
I did know.
Yes. So if you want an ad-free version of our show, you, of course, can continue signing up for Wolves Plus exclusively on Apple Podcasts. But you can now get the same benefit when you join us on Patreon as a moon howler or higher.
A moon howler. I want to be a moon howler. I am a moon howler.
You are a moon howler. Yes. Yes. You are the very definition. You are the model moon howler.
Boy, do I moon howl. Also, you're not only getting the ad-free version, you're also getting all of our Patreon content.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's tons of bonus content, which you've never seen if you haven't joined us on Patreon. So please either join us on Wolves Plus through Apple Podcasts or join us on Patreon.
Come moon howl.
Hey, everybody. It's Nick Layton.
And it's Leah Bonema.
And we had so many good questions from you all in the wilderness
Ow!
that we have a bonus episode. So here we go. Our first question is, quote, a few weeks ago, our neighbor, let's call him Chad, unexpectedly mowed half of our front lawn while mowing his. My husband and I were shocked. We've had a neighborly relationship with them, just the usual, hey, how's it going? But nothing more. To be fair, our grass was a bit overgrown that day, as we've been busy launching a new business and haven't been home much during daylight hours. Normally, my husband takes pride in maintaining the yard and doesn't even let me mow it because he's so particular. My dad's the same way, so I get it. So while the grass was a little long that day, it wasn't an eyesore. Still, it was a surprise to come home and see only half of the yard cut. I assumed Chad was trying to be helpful and told my husband so. My husband disagreed, saying if Chad meant well, he would have finished the job and cleaned up properly, as we do. The other day, I saw Chad for the first time since this happened, and I didn't mention the lawn. It felt awkward. Part of me wanted to say thanks, but I knew my husband wouldn't want that, as it might imply we appreciated it. So, my questions are, was Chad being rude to cut our lawn without our permission? What should I have said when I saw him? And should my husband have addressed it when it first happened?
And then they sent us the picture.
So yes, we have an illustration.
Which I'm glad we have an illustration because what I was thinking when we got the question versus when I saw the picture.
So for our listeners, describe the photo.
So it's a Google image. Street view.
Yes, they sent us a Google Street View image of these houses.
And it's essentially the land shared is in between the two driveways, between the two houses.
Yes, so in between the houses, there's a piece of lawn. And I guess the property line runs down the center of this lawn.
And so Chad mowed all that.
Yes, Chad went beyond the property line and just mowed the entire lawn section, the whole thing. And interestingly, in the Google Street View image they sent, you can actually see the property line in the lawn because they are different heights of grass in this photo.
Yes, they are.
So we do have different mowing schedules happening, I think, fairly regularly.
And it's a beautiful green. Lovely grass.
Lovely. Oh, yeah. This actually looks like we're really kind of nailing it with the mulching. I don't know how grass works.
Y'all have great grass.
They just have great grass. Yeah, this is great grass. So Chad decided to go beyond the property line and just mow this entire section, your side and my side, which on some level makes sense because it should just probably all just like be the same type of lawn. Let's not have like this weird visible property line going down the lawn. So like on some level, I understand why that makes sense.
I mean, that's a discussion though. We don't go onto people's property.
Right. That's a discussion because otherwise that is trespassing.
That's trespassing. Also, you don't know what I want with my lawn.
Right. Yes. That is also a very key detail here. Yes.
Because isn't there a time of year where people actually on purpose let their grass grow to like feed birds?
Oh, that's true. Yes. There are times when we actually don't want to like pull up the grass clippings. We want to leave them, or there's some. Yes, this is so outside of.
I was going to say neither Nick or I have a lawn, and I heard it once, and it just popped into my brain. And obviously, no research has been done, but you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, listeners, if you're wondering why we never talk about ikebana or plants or this is the one area that I have zero knowledge. I just don't know anything about gardening, plants. Where does food come from? I don't know.
My mother is going to be so mortified. She's such an incredible gardener. And I'm like, what's dirt?
So I do know, though, that people do have very strong feelings about their lawn, how they want it done, what they feel is correct. And to just mow someone else's lawn, that's not done. We don't live in that world. That's never okay.
We don't live in that world.
No. Also, there is this thing in etiquette, which is the unsolicited favor. And whenever a favor is unsolicited, it often is an etiquette crime because we don't necessarily want favors done for us unsolicited.
No, because it also feels like a comment.
Oh, it's often a comment, yes, which is you don't know how to take care of your lawn.
I also want to say as a sidestep, but within, I feel so proud of our letter writer where she said, I saw my neighbor for the first time and I wanted to say something to sort of like clear the air, make it comfortable, and then didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And I actually was just talking to Nick earlier about how hard it is to not say something when you want to fill the air and just make it comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think good for you.
Yeah.
You should feel really proud of yourself for being like, I'm not going to, just make this okay.
Well, we also don't want this to happen again.
Yes.
So by saying thank you, that definitely sends the signal like, oh, that was appreciated. So yeah, your instinct is correct here to like not say thank you. Now, should the husband have said something as soon as it happened? Yeah, if he doesn't want this happening again, then yeah, I think something should be said. And that could be polite and nice, but like, I think we want to address it.
Also, I do understand sometimes why it's hard not to say something right away because you got to process it. You're like, what happened? Because sometimes something will happen and I go, I'm going to sit with this a little bit in case how I feel about it tomorrow isn't the way I feel right now,
Also, you did a favor for me, but then you did it badly. Like you didn't clean up properly. So like, did you mow and then just like leave it a mess? Is that what happened? Then it's like, oh, now you've created more work for me?
Also, it just feels like Chad is saying, hey, I want the lawn around my house to be a certain way.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go ahead and do that, even though half of that lawn is legally not mine.
Yes. And I think this is an easy conversation, which is like, hey, do you want to take turns just mowing this entire piece between us? Or how do you want the lawn kept between us? Or what should we do as neighbors here to make this make sense? And like, that's an easy conversation because I think we can come to some consensus.
Yeah, you could go over and say, hey, we noticed you mowed half our lawn. And then what Nick said, or you could go over and say, hey, we're actually growing our lawn out for the birds. Even though I don't know what that is, but I know it's a thing. And just be like, so please don't do that.
Or like, hey, totally appreciate the gesture. Just know for next time, like we're a little particular about how we like the lawn cut. So just like FYI, just like give us a heads up next time.
I don't know how our letter writer feels. I don't want them to give me a heads up. I don't want them to mow my lawn.
Well, if you do it the way I do it and you clean up after yourself and you're saving me the trouble, I'm not necessarily against that if it's sort of to my specifications. But if you just decide like you're going to mow it the way you want to do it, which is not the way I want it done, well, then I don't like that. Like, I mean, if you're truly just like doing me a total favor and it's something I would do anyway, then okay. Like if you're going to do my laundry and you're going to do it exactly the way I like it, you're going to separate it exactly the way I separate it, you're going to hang dry exactly the things I like hang dried, then like, okay, I'm not going to tell somebody like, oh, don't do my laundry exactly the way I would do it. But like, you're not going to do it the way I do it. So that's why I don't want you doing it because I know you can't do it right. So I guess that's the same issue with like the grass.
I guess I want to know from our letter writers if there is a conversation, if they don't mind this person mowing.
Yeah. I mean, I think our letter writer doesn't mind, but the husband does. And so given that, yeah, some conversation is required because this will happen again.
Yeah, I definitely could go over and have a little convo.
And as they say, good fences make good neighbors.
Obviously, it cannot put a fence in the middle of that lawn. That would be wild.
Well, then stop mowing my lawn without my permission. Otherwise, I'm going to put a 10-foot chain link fence up there.
Nick.
Yeah. Barbed wire. And electrified. I'll do it. Don't make me do it. And now it's time for Intermezzo.
Intermezzo.
So this episode is brought to you by Every Plate. So Leah, what is Every Plate?
Every Plate is America's best value meal delivery service.
And this week, tons of great meal choices. There's the saucy chicken and pepper stir fry over ginger rice. There's the super smash burgers with caramelized onion, chipotle aioli, and potato wedges. There's the hotel butter steak with broccoli almondine and crispy potato rounds. Or the crispy chicken milanese with roasted broccoli and honey Dijon drizzle.
I also you could go in and be like, what am I feeling? And then jump into their different collections, right? You can do Thai recipes, Vietnamese recipes, Mexican recipes, Mediterranean recipes, Japanese, Chinese, German, Italian. It's endless.
So what are you waiting for? Dig into these flavor-packed meals your household will love. New customers can enjoy this special offer of only $1.99 a meal. Go to everyplate.com/podcast and use code RBW199 to get started. Applied as discount on first box, limited time only. And now it's time for Intermezzo.
Intermezzo.
So this episode is brought to you by Incogni. And so here's the problem. There are data brokers and companies out there that gather your personal information and they sell it at a profit. And it's all over the web. And so Incogni helps you get that information off of the web. And so, Leah, you have signed up. How is it going?
I think I gave our listeners this backstory previously, but you know I love a backstory, Nick, and you're not allowed to edit this out because I want them to have all the information. I was in my parents' parking lot. I remember this because Nick gave me a panic attack. And he was randomly talking about all this stuff online because I think all of you know Nick's been cleaning up my life. And he was like, you should think about that. And I was like, don't bring that up to me, Nick. I can't deal with all this stuff. And then randomly, Incogni approached us. And it was what Nick had brought up. And so I was like, incredible timing. I thought it was going to be so complicated. Nope. You just put your information in and then they do all the work. And then they just send you updates.
So go to incogni.com, that's incogni.com/WYRBW, and use promo code WYRBW to get an exclusive 60% off an annual plan. So our next question is, quote, I'm writing to you for advice. I hope we'll settle a marital issue. I know how Leah loves a marital issue. We receive email invitations. It could be for a dinner out or an activity or dinner at a friend's house. My husband is very prompt, within hours, to respond whether or not he's available and saying he'll leave it up to me to respond whether I'm available. We are generally readily available to each other to discuss the invitation, but he immediately responds without consulting me. Here's a response he recently sent to somebody. June 6th is available to me. I'll let Lisa reply for herself. What time? What address? And can we bring something? I object to his approach. I believe the invitation is for us as a couple. We should discuss the invitation and respond as a couple. I'm tempted to say I'm not available and let him decide if he wants to go without me. This happens frequently, and I've suggested a joint response, but he just can't control himself. Please tell him to coordinate responses to invitations.
I'm sorry, Nick. I'm still not finished with the last question.
Okay, let's go back to the lawns.
I just, I don't know if it's because I'm an only child. I don't want you touching my stuff. You know what I mean? And even if it's, you should have come over and talked to me about it.
Yes.
And you know that. You're an adult who owns property. You're making a comment, and I want to mow my lawn when I want to mow it. And I've been busy and not home, but that's not for you to make a decision about.
Yeah.
Because it's not your property.
Yeah, and my lawn was fine. It was not overgrown. Yes, it needs to be mowed, but it is not an abandoned property.
But even if it was overgrown, you still have absolutely no right to come onto my property. If you want to, as a neighbor, come over and be like, hey, I know you've been really busy. And I still think this is dicey, but you want to come over and have a conversation about, hey, I'm happy to do this for you. That's a conversation, but you're not coming on my property.
Yeah, I'm on board. I don't disagree with you at all.
I just needed to get it out.
Yeah, no. Everybody agrees with you, Leah.
I just got real emotional about it all of a sudden. And I just want to make sure that.
No, I think we all hear you. Everybody feels heard. Okay, so back to our married couple, and we have an invitation issue. And so.
Now I can think about it with a clear mind.
Okay, good. Okay, so what do we do about this? We have a eager beaver who's very quick to respond to invitations solo.
I would want to. I love that. Our letter writer says, I know Leah loves a marital issue. I do.
And I guess what is the difference between an etiquette question and a marital question?
This is an etiquette question. But I think when it's a marital question, there's so much more. Our letter writers can't see us. I'm interweaving my fingers.
There's more of a tapestry.
Yes.
There's a weft.
It's just a beautifully woven. It's just thicker.
Yes. It is a heavy pile of fabric. Okay, so I think from an etiquette perspective, invitations are sent to couples as a unit. So we invite the couple together, and then the response should also be sent as a unit. That is generally what is done. And so I think we do want a joint response. Now, you can have different responses, like I can come, but you can't, or whatever it is. But I think that needs to be one response. We are presenting a unified front.
And I think the way, because we've already said to our husband, hey, let's respond together. And then they like their knee-jerk reaction is they just respond.
I'm coming.
Yeah. So I would want to, this is how I would do it.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I've done it in the past. We'll just say that.
Okay.
Because like the question is, why does it feel important to you to respond right away? Like, what is it that makes the knee-jerk reaction?
Well, in etiquette world, it actually is very polite to respond to invitations promptly. So I love that instinct. I think that's very kind and respectful of your host. So, okay.
But the answer could also be like, maybe they feel like they want you to feel like a independent person and you can go if you don't want to go. Maybe there's like a reason that we don't know about why they're responding so quickly.
Well, there's the why we're responding so quickly, but then there's the why I'm not responding on your behalf. So I think there is definitely another layer here, which we don't have access to.
Which I think that's the conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, because I've said I want us to respond together. You seem to really not want to do that. So I would like to know why.
Yeah. So that goes above our pay grade.
But I feel like that's where I belong. That's the pay area I belong in.
So I will opt out of that. But I think a good response would be, if you have to respond immediately, like if you just want to acknowledge this invitation, is thank you so much for the invitation. We're checking our schedules and we'll get back to you soon. So boom, I've sent a response. Thank you for the invitation. I'm acknowledging it. That's great. We're going to coordinate. We're going to get back to you.
Yes. The thing is if we don't deal with what the second issue of is why they feel the need to say just what they're doing, then that's not going to make a difference.
Right. But, that's not my problem.
Okay. Well, I like to get involved. But I do think we could discuss with our husband, can you just say that? Thanks for the invite.
Right.
We'll coordinate, get back to you.
Now, a couple other things kind of caught my eye. One is that the follow-up questions are a little problematic. The what time, what address, what can we bring? Because you're putting your host on the spot when you actually haven't fully RSVP'd. And so, I have to tell you the time, the date, I have to give you more details, but you actually haven't fully committed yet. I'm a little in between here. So I don't love that. And then also, are we issuing invitations where it is not clear where it is or when it is? What is this invitation?
Well, what I imagine is like a friend sent a thing that was like, hey, we were going to have a picnic next Saturday. Are you guys up for it?
Okay, picnic. Yeah, that would be a TBD location.
And then it's like a TBD and it's like, it's in the afternoon, but you're like, what exactly, what time is it?
I will allow it. But it would be nicer if the invitation was parentheses, Memorial Park, 3 p.m. Be nice to get a little detail in the original invitation.
Well, I'm sure that this is just the most recent one that happened. I'm sure there have been other invitations with other, that's not really what the question is about.
No, I'm just nitpicking. So I go, what? That's so weird. Nick, what are you doing? Oh, so out of character. So letter writer, I do believe you're correct. I think it would be nice to present a unified response to all invitations. It just makes it easier on your host because now they're just dealing with one RSVP to deal with as opposed to half.
I agree with Nick.
Great.
I think you should try the idea, can you just say, got it, we'll discuss it, thanks for the invite, we'll get back to you. And if they really can't seem to control themselves, them being your husband, I would then have that conversation about why is it? Because obviously we can all control ourselves, we're adults, Okay. Unless it's around cookie dough, then I get it.
All bets are off. Yeah.
All bets are off. But so there must be something. What is that thing? What is it?
Yeah, no, getting to the root of this issue, yes, I think that's probably a conversation that's worth having.
And with no judgment, just be like, what is it? So I can understand,
Right.
And then I'm tempted to say I'm not available and let him decide if he wants to go out with me. Okay, why not?
Yeah, I think that's fair. That would definitely be fair. Yeah, if you RSVP before letting me know, then that might be a consequence.
If we've tried all these other outlets and we really don't want to continue doing it this way, then that's our last option.
Okay. So our next question is, quote, I work in a school where I share a small office with 3 other people. One of my office mates, let's call her Lisa, is incredibly kind and lovely. But there is one problem. She insists on knocking before entering the room every single time. My desk faces away from the door, so whenever somebody knocks, I stop my work for a brief moment, turn around, look through the small window in our door, and wave them in. It's a minuscule inconvenience, but it's usually worth it because the person knocking is there to see me. When Lisa knocks, I still have to turn around, but she comes in right after and goes to her desk. At first, I thought it was funny and quirky, but it is gradually driving me crazy because it breaks my focus for no good reason. But nobody else seems to be bothered by it besides me. I know I should just get over it or have a polite yet direct conversation with her. So my question for you is more general. What is the etiquette for entering a shared workspace? Should one knock on their own door? Aside from the initial morning greeting, should one try to be as inconspicuous as possible when their office mates are working?
So as a person, when I get in my flow, if somebody interrupts me,
It's not good.
it's not good because then you're out. Then you got to get back in it,
Yeah,
which sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can't even
Yeah.
get back in it.
flow is hard.
And it's not like she isn't in that room. It's not like she's just stopping by. This is her room too.
Yeah, it's her office. Yeah.
So I think we can just have a direct conversation. Hey, because I think that Lisa is doing this because somewhere along the line, she learned that this is the polite thing to do. I'm letting people know I'm coming in case you're doing something.
Right.
So you know somebody's coming in.
Right. Yes. This is a good example of people doing a quote unquote polite thing, which actually is impolite. Like it's so polite, quote unquote, that it actually becomes actually inconvenient for everybody.
So I don't think it's a problem at all just to be like, hey, Lisa,
Don't.
but not like the way Nick said it. I appreciate that you always want to be polite and like be like, I'm coming in, but if we could not knock before you walk in the door, just because it takes me out of my workflow.
Or you could even say, this might be too subtle, but you could say something along the lines of like, oh, Lisa, this is your office too, and I want you to feel at home here. There's no need to knock. And make it more in that spirit, which is like, oh no, we all share the space. We're all in it together. Like, don't feel like you're a guest here. This is your space too.
I love that idea. My only worry is that she will be like, oh, it's just something I grew up doing. And then you're going to
Right.
have to be like, actually, it bothers me.
Yeah, no, I need you to stop. Yeah, okay, maybe a little more direct. Yeah. Like, no need to knock, to, just enter quietly.
I mean, you could say enter quietly, but I don't know if we need that part. Because it would be like, if you could just be quiet and tiptoe and pretend you don't exist, that would be the best way for you to enter this room.
Although she probably actually is being pretty quiet about it.
I think she's being very quiet. It's just the knocking.
Right. And so, okay, I think we do need to have a brief conversation with her about it. But the general questions is that, yeah, when it's your own shared workspace, I think you just want to like enter quietly. Let's not make like a huge fuss about it. I think if it's the first time that day and somebody is like not on the phone, you could say hello. I think that's fine. If you're coming back, you could make a little eye contact, which is like, hey, I'm back from lunch. But let's not say that. We could just sort of like have eye contact, which is like, I acknowledge you. Hello. Little head nod.
Well, also our letter writer's back is to the door. So she has to do with like a full
Right.
body movement.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we don't want to make you have to turn around. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a shared, it's different if it's a guest who's never there and you got to be like, hey, how are you? But this is a person who's
Right.
always coming in and out.
I do think, though, in the morning, the first time we see Lisa, we should turn around and have a good morning.
Yeah, I think a good morning is absolutely normal.
We have to acknowledge you once a day.
And I don't think our letter writer has a problem with that. My guess is just like every time they go out for a thing, they come back, they knock.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's how we handle this.
Just a little quickie and with no inflection in our voice, no biggie, just letting him know, hey, no more with the knocking.
This reminds me of a fun thing in French. When you see somebody for the second time, you don't say bonjour, you say re-bonjour, as in like I'm re-helloing you, R-E, bonjour. So maybe we should introduce re-hello to the English language. Like, oh, hello, Leah. Oh, yes, re-hello.
But in this kid's situation, the re-hello is silent because she's like,
That's
we've already
true.
said hello. We don't need the knock. We don't need the whole thing.
Yeah, no, so this is a sans bonjour situation. Right.
Yes.
But don't you love the idea of like a re-hello? I kind of like that.
I do like it.
Yeah, for the second time in a day when you're saying hi. Yeah. Re-hi.
I think we could just start doing it and maybe it'll catch on.
Okay. All right. So something to add to our list of things we hope will catch on someday.
Yes, let's put it on the list.
Okay. So our next question is, quote, recently, a group that regularly meets at our house invited a new couple to join in. On the evening of the get-together, the new couple was over 15 minutes late. We waited on them and discussed that we wanted to be polite, but how long do you have to wait on guests? Until the cows come home? Until the food is cold? I didn't want to embarrass them by calling, but as the hostess, I feel like I should have known what to do. Please advise, as this isn't the first time I've been in this situation.
Ugh.
Oh, I have some thoughts.
I love cows. That's my first thought.
Interesting. Interesting that is your first thought for this question. Okay, until the cows come home.
I've just been in a place where I'm like, I need to have an animal sanctuary when I'm older. And I will take cows that have been in like dairy farms and need a break.
Okay.
So, but I'm just throwing that out to our listeners. If they have a plot of land where they were like, this would be great for an animal sanctuary, let me know.
All right. Yeah. Leah Bonema is looking for land for cows.
I'll also take some goats, maybe a sheep, dogs. Anyway.
All right. So can we help this person in the meantime?
Yes, I do think that at 10 minutes, A, I'm so sorry. How irritating. And B, I think at 10 minutes you could send a text. Where are you at?
Oh, interesting. Oh, okay. Wow. So I have a very different sort of take on this. So we have some assumptions to make here. One is that we're in the United States.
We're in the United States because they said until the cows come home.
Oh, that's a good context clue. Yeah. Oh, listeners who are abroad, do you use this expression? Is this a Canadian thing? No. Well, they have cows. Alberta.
Yeah, but I don't know if the cows in Alberta come home because they feel like the cows in Alberta are they're out running.
Okay.
But it's funny that's how I imagine Alberta cows. They're not coming home. They're hanging out.
I'm just picturing the stampede in Calgary. That's what I have in my head.
I think that Canada and the United States, and I may get letters about this, I think that Canadians and people in the United States would respond similarly to a 15-minute time delay. As somebody who went to school in Canada, I feel like I'm allowed to maybe feel that way.
Okay. I mean, we could put a pin in the differences between the United States and Canada when it comes to entertaining, because Canada definitely leans more British than we do when it comes to certain things. But yes, timing for dinner parties, I think very similar. We are also assuming that this is a dinner party because we are talking about food getting cold. And so this is a dinner party invitation. So I think that's also an important sort of baseline.
Yeah, it's not like a hangout cocktail.
Right. And so we have a dinner party. We've invited a new couple. And so I just have mostly questions. So I guess the question is, was it clear in the invitation that like dinner is at 7? Because I think these are new people to our group. They may have thought like, oh, there's going to be a cocktail hour, or 7 really means 7:30. We don't want to be, too early. 15 minutes, that's sort of a fashionably late, even though that's not really a thing and people shouldn't do that. But 15 minutes is a good buffer. And so like that makes sense for us. And we didn't realize this was actually the dinner gong strikes at 7 kind of thing. So maybe that's a question that needs to be answered. Like, what did they know about the invitation?
I think that's a great point because I was making the assumption based on the food getting cold that everybody was told dinner is at 6.
Right. And our letter writer says that this is not the first time they've been in this situation. And I don't like to criticize our letter writers, but
I feel it coming.
You should not have a start time that is so fixed. I think it would be a good idea to have a bit of a cheese and nibbles, a little ease into the dinner hour. I think we need a little preamble. I think, clearly the idea of a hard start, which is your guest arrival time, and that's when the first course is served, it might be cutting it a little tight. And so maybe we want to have a little more leisurely start to this, a little ramp up, a little aperitivo, something.
I wasn't imagining that when our letter writer said that this has happened multiple times, I wasn't imagining that it was always in the same situation. I was also visualizing them at a restaurant and the people were late. Like this is, so they were like, how does this get handled across the board? Which is why I was like, I would just send a text. But I like what you're saying, where if this is always happening in the same situation, maybe we got to set it up different.
Yes. I mean, often the etiquette solution to etiquette problems is to make changes to prevent the etiquette crime from happening in the first place. And so by adding a little buffer at the front end of some cocktails and nibbles before we go into the dining room for dinner, that might help us. Emily Post does have an official ruling on this. She says, quote, a polite hostess waits 20 minutes after the dinner hour and then orders dinner served. To wait more than 20 minutes, or actually 15 after those who took the allowable 5 minutes grace, would be showing lack of consideration too many for the sake of one. So Emily's like, you get 15 minutes grace after the initial 5-minute grace, which brings us to 20 minutes.
Okay.
Do you disagree?
No, it just really reminded me of a Star Trek moment with the good of the many doesn't outweigh the good, and then they go back for
Sure.
Spock anyway, which I sobbed. But it really matters whether or not the couple was told it was a dinner at 6.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine the invitation was, hey, come over for dinner at 6. Although if I got an invitation that said, oh, come over for dinner at 6, I would be there at 6:05.
You wouldn't be there at 6:05. Nick, stop kidding yourself. You would be there at 5:59. You would wait a minute outside, and then you would come in.
I mean, I wouldn't not do that.
Thank you.
I don't know. Yeah, it would depend whether or not being exactly on time was considered polite and appreciated, I guess. But certainly between 6:06 and 6:05, somewhere my finger is hovering over the intercom in that window. Right.
I guess in my mind, because all the other couples were there, it was somehow established that this is the time that this happens.
Right. Yes. And this couple just didn't know it.
And I have no problem just sending people at like a where you at, what time you think you're going to get here, just so I know what's going on in their brain.
Yes. I mean,
did you not realize? Are you late? Did something happen? You know what I mean? Just keep me posted. What time are you getting here so I can make my plans?
Well, I mean, I feel like at 20 minutes, we're going to start dinner. And when they come in, I think we just sort of say like, oh, I was sure you wouldn't want us to wait. And then they just join in. I guess that's kind of how that would go down. And depending on who your host is and what kind of dinner this is, you technically should join in at the course that is currently happening. That would be kind of probably polite. Although a nice host would let you start at the beginning with the first course and would try to catch you up. So that depends on how fancy a dinner it is. Emily would probably let you like start with the first course. Stricter host would be like, nope, we're on the dessert course now. So that's what you're having.
I'd be like, I ate yours.
Yeah, it was so good. But yeah, to call, I mean, I'm not going to call it 10 minutes or text. I guess, is this a texting relationship or is this a phone call relationship? And I guess if the invitation was very clear about what was supposed to happen, then, hey, just are you on your way?
I guess I don't have dinner parties where like we serve dinner at a specific time. I have parties where people come and then it's sort of like there's casual up top and then maybe we'll have dinner a little later.
Right. Yeah. So we don't have this issue.
So all I can compare this to is if I was at a restaurant and we were all waiting to eat. And if you were past 10 minutes, I would text and I'd be like, are you coming?
Yes. Because it is clear, the reservation's at 6. And that is clear to everybody what that means, which is we arrive at 6 and we are now waiting on you. Yes. Okay. Yeah. For that, 10 minutes feels like I'll text you at 10 minutes.
Yeah, because that's a like if you're sitting at a table and there are waiters and they're like, are you putting in an order? You know what I mean? 10 minutes is a substantial amount of time.
Yeah. I wouldn't do it at 5. But yeah, at the 10-minute mark, if we haven't heard from you, then yeah. Okay. So yeah, do we want to translate the restaurant rule to home? Yeah, I guess we could. Yeah. I guess it was real clear that like dinner's at 6. There is no cocktail hour. The dinner gong is at 6.
You are correct, though. We are missing some information. What was the invite?
Yeah, I think we need to see the invitation. Yeah, I think we need to see the invitation. Because I think this couple was not intending to be rude. I think they thought, also, it sounds like because the couple was over 15 minutes late, they did arrive eventually at around the 15-minute mark. It wasn't 20, because I think our letter writer would have said 20. So they arrived between 15 and 20 minutes, right?
Yes.
So I think for this couple, they didn't think they were arriving late. They thought they were arriving at the appropriate time for the event.
Yeah, I don't think they did it on purpose. I think they were just misinformed in their mind.
And if you had texted them at the 10-minute mark, which is like, where are you? They would have found that quite strange, which would have been like, oh, I thought it was sort of like people are gathering at 6 for dinner.
Well, that would clear it up.
Yeah, that would definitely clear it up.
That's the thing about just asking. Then they know, oh, was it supposed to be at 6? I took it this way. And then you know why they did it. And then they know that's not how that works moving forward.
And let's just add a little cocktail hour. Cocktail half hour. Something. Just a little buffer. Just a little buffer.
Maybe in the invitation it says there is no buffer.
No buffer.
Or the buffer could have been 5:30 to 6.
Oh, you think we missed the buffer?
And they missed the buffer. I mean, we don't know.
Well then.
We don't know.
So many questions. So many questions. But I think we covered something with this.
I think we gave a lot of context and thoughts.
Yes. So do with that as you will. So our next question is, quote, Are your outfits supposed to match the theme of a wedding? I don't know whether I should help add to the overall theme or if that makes it look like I'm trying to be part of the wedding party. Then, to add a layer of chaos, what if I'm the best man? Is my wife supposed to match the theme? I want to respect the bride, but also want my wife to look great and feel confident. What's a guy to do?
This question screams Nick.
Does it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, my first thought that I am currently screaming in my head is the theme of a wedding should be wedding. That should be the theme. The theme of this wedding is wedding. We do not need another theme. Can we not just have wedding be the theme? Really?
I knew that this was just going to be a talk about wedding. Let's say there is a theme of the wedding, Nick.
Fine, if you want to be that person. But I do feel like wedding is a very good theme that I think we can embrace. It does not need to be something else. A wedding-themed wedding is chic and nice. And I think more people should just have that. But okay, we're having a theme.
There's a lot of fun themes.
Sure, yeah. No, zombie apocalypse, medieval times. Yeah, let's have it.
I mean, I feel like you nailed ones for me right there.
So guests should, I think, try to reflect the theme to their best of their abilities and budget, but I don't think we want them to look like they're in the bridal party. So I think if they're just told like, oh, it's, garden party themed, well then, yes, guests should be floral and, whatever that means to them. But I don't think we want them dressing in the same thing that the bridesmaids or groomsmen are wearing. So I think that's how I would navigate that. If you're the best man, you probably have something assigned to you. If it's a typical wedding where the bride and groom are basically, putting everybody in costume. And so, yeah, you have to wear that. But then your guest, your spouse, who is not in the bridal party, they do not have to be doing that. In fact, they should not do that. They should just do the broader theme. And so they should just wear whatever they think looks great, but also is like, vaguely in the theme of whatever is.
Vaguely in the theme of garden party. So maybe they're wearing rubber gloves and they have a
trowels.
basket. Yes, with the little baby shovels in it.
Yeah, no, smocks. Now we're on to something.
That would be fun. You have like the big bunch of carrots that still has dirt on it, and then the greenery
Who needs
hanging
a
over the
bouquet?
side.
Love it. Yeah, so I think that's how we would handle that.
See, I knew you'd have the perfect answer.
I mean, do you agree with this?
I do agree with that.
But honestly, theme weddings. I mean,
I just knew you had to say. I knew you had to get that off your chest.
Yeah, I guess sometimes I'm just really hostile with the wedding industrial complex.
But the thing is that some people really love stuff. It's a thing they enjoy together, like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or
yeah.
dogs.
Yeah. Sure.
So maybe you have a dog theme wedding. We could just look at that as fun.
Yeah, but then I think to make your guests now sort of participate in that.
But I think that you could so lightly participate. Like you just wear what you were going to wear anyway, and then maybe you have a pin.
Right, yes. I would wear what I was going to wear anyway, and then I would have like a Dalmatian print pocket square.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you don't even.
Right.
We don't have to go out and buy new. If you expect people to go buy a whole new outfit, that's.
Well, many people do. And that, I think, is where it crosses the line for me. When you are basically forcing your guests to spend money on a one-time only look.
Say I did, for example, I'm just throwing this out. I haven't thought about it in advance. But like a Lord of the Rings theme.
Right. I mean, just pulled from the air.
I'm just pulling from the air. Randomly. Okay. It's not like I'm sitting next to a full-size poster. I would not expect people who are not already in Lord of the Rings to go buy an outfit.
Right. And what would that even be? Like, what is my... Lord, am I wearing a cloak?
Well, you would have to pick, are you an elf?
Oh, right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who are you?
Who am I in the Lord of the Rings universe?
I'm going to have to think about that.
Okay. Because you really don't want, there's an answer that you have, but somehow it's offensive. So you are trying to thread some needle here. Because I'm going to Google whatever it is. And then I'm going to be like, Leah Bonema thinks I am this? How rude. That is exactly what's happening.
To continue with what I was saying, I have elf ears. They were like $5.
Sure.
You could throw on, say you wear your cocktail dress or your suit where you throw on some elf ears, or you just have like one of those like headbands that people have. You know what I mean? It could be a little thing.
Yeah.
Or if you're a person who's like, I've been looking my whole life for a Lord of the Thing, you know what I mean? You want to rent the whole thing, have at it. But I can't expect everybody to go full Aragorn. You know what I mean? Not everybody's getting a full Gandalf and I just have half Gandalf the Greys and half Gandalf the Whites. You know what I mean? That's but
Well, I think because you are a reasonable person, I think there are a lot of people planning weddings who do not have that level of respect for their guests and do create a theme and create an expectation, create a color story, create mood boards, create requirements for their guests, which do become a burden. And I think that I don't love.
But
So-
I mean, even if there was a mood board, you'd be like, I'm still wearing the black cocktail dress. I'll get a hat in your colors.
Right. But now I just bought a hat. And now I have a hat in my house. Like, where does that go?
What, you get a hat wall?
Oh, now I have a wall for my hats?
You have a wall of hats.
Okay, now it's too far. You think I have extra wall space?
Yes, I'm looking at some right now, right next to
But
the
the-
airplane.
No, but it's that the wall space is minimalist and blank. That's by design. It is not meant to have a one hat worn for one wedding once.
I don't know what to tell you, Nick. Maybe you rent the hat.
Oh, now I'm renting hats.
Well,
Okay.
you could just go with the pocket square. Like you said, you could do
Yeah, but
your
now I still
suit.
have to find a Dalmatian print pocket square. So, like, all right, that's it. My point is, I think a wedding-themed wedding is lovely, and I think more people should have them.
Okay, well, I'm fine if you want me to wear a Dalmatian pocket square or elf ears. That seems manageable for me for
All right, well,
a celebration.
listeners, send your invitations accordingly. You know who should receive what. For me, I just want your elegant weddings that are wedding themed. And for your dog, Lord of the Rings themed weddings, then Leah is your guest of choice.
I'm still waiting for a fancy ranch invite. Nobody's given me one.
I mean, I would show up for that. I'll buy some Wrangler jeans for that.
I did get invited to a chic beach wedding.
Oh, what's that?
And so I went with a dress I already owned,
Okay.
blue,
Okay.
sleeveless. It was on the beach.
Okay.
And then because I'm me, I got a pair of, I'm going to have whites on the beach, slip-ons. Come on.
Okay.
And then I got a fanny pack to match my slip-on whites. So both of those items are items that I then use in my regular life.
Okay. All right. So at least this is not a one-time purchase.
Yeah. So what you do is you find a thing that you're like, you know, where else I can work this in?
Yeah. No, you can make it work. I guess my point is just, it would just be nice if we would not treat our guests at a wedding like props and would let them just look their best, whatever that is, and just enjoy their company. That's all I want.
I am agreeing with you. I just think that it doesn't have to be all in. Like, not everybody has to be wearing purple with it. You could wear black with just like a purple bracelet, and I feel like that should be good enough.
That should definitely be good enough. And yes, if a bride wants to complain that their guests didn't take the theme seriously enough, well, then that's on them.
They can just put them in the back of the picture.
Yeah, or Photoshop. At this point, Photoshop can fix all of this. Just let guests wear whatever they want and just fix it in post.
Fix it in post, everybody. That's what we're walking away with today.
That's the takeaway. Just fix it in post. So, you out there, do you have questions for us that we can try fixing in post? Let us know. You can let us know through our website, wereraisedbywolves.com, or you can leave us a voicemail or send us a text message, 267-CALL-RBW. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, Leah, one more thing.
What?
Have you signed up for Patreon yet?
I have.
Me too. You out there, have you signed up for Patreon yet? No? Well, go to our website, wereraisedbywolves.com, click on monthly membership, check it out, because we would really appreciate it if you'd support our show.
We love your support.
We would. So please do that, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.